Hello, everyone. I'm Aarti Wabikrasoon, founder and MD of Prerna Advisory here in South Africa.
Hi, I'm Deepika Trehan, the founder of a leadership development platform, Corporate Diva, based out of India.
Corporate Diva and Prerna Advisory came together earlier this year to bring forth a leadership development collaboration across continents, across geographies and backgrounds. And on that basis, we decided to call it Unity in Diversity, a forward thinking program that would actually bring Ubuntu philosophy into the mold. And we decided that leadership development in this VUCA environment actually needs to bring something that's human centric and a little bit different. And I must say, in the build up to us launching the UID program, we've gotten such beautiful feedback from all of you potential participants and UID change makers. And as part of that process, you've also told us about some of the deep difficulties you're experiencing as well, whether it's from time pressure, stress, overwhelm. These are all things that are affecting you at the moment. And on that basis, Deepika and I actually decided that it would be an intentional piece of listening, support, and caring that we would bring about. Because ultimately, potential UID change makers, we want this to be a relational sort of transaction with you, not just something that's going to be about leadership development as well. So, bringing the Ubuntu philosophy into practice, we decided to take a conscious pause on what we were doing. And Deepika, I know you're quite excited to explain what that is and what that's going to look like for our viewers. So, tell us more about what that is.
Absolutely, Aarti. And thanks for explaining the entire ethos of the program. I honestly salute all the people who reached out to us with their vulnerabilities, with their feedbacks, with their suggestions, and needing support. So, therefore, they asked for support. How could we deny it?
Exactly.
Leadership, as they say, also can mean the hustle bustle of life and managing just so many things around and all of that. But I think when you talk about conscious pause, it is a time to step back, take a breath, reflect upon what the current scenario is. And let's face it, no matter in varying degrees the impact, but we're all going through an era of a global pandemic. So the conscious pause was to let all those who really wanted to be a part of this program take a step back and reflect upon and manage their current times and recircle back as we push the date of the launch of the UID program to September. Now, in the interim, as Aarti mentioned, that we didn't want to just have this as a transactional leadership program. We're a lot to do with humane leadership. And for that, we assessed the need for healing.
Yes.
And therefore, together as a team, we've come forth and brought in experts from various dimensions who bring forth various perspectives and techniques for healing. Therefore, the healing practices are going to be something that would be really, really valuable at the time when you need it most. And of course, we connect for the UID program post the series of the Healing Touch to Leadership is over. Aarti, would you like to add something to that?
I think it's a fantastic initiative, Deepika, that we're putting together. And, you know, for all of our potential participants, it's going to be so conveniently accessible to you. We will flight it as YouTube videos, but it will be accessible on all your social media channels. So at your convenience, and when you've got the time and availability to actually download it, no pressure, go and make use of these resources. Because as Deepika said, we're all about healing and support at this stage, which is what I think everyone is needing at this point in time.
True. And as I said earlier, that we assess there is a need for healing. So we've curated the healing touch of leadership. And as Aarti mentioned, that it's going to be available free access to almost anybody across the globe. We've literally given out our intent to be partners in healing during tough times on an accessible platform and literally out to the universe. So go ahead, leverage what we are about to bring forth. And of course, after a few times, this too shall pass, and we will reunite real soon in the month of September for the UID master sessions.
Wonderful. Come and join us on that healing journey. We look forward to seeing you there.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for stopping by and watching my energy optimization and self-care video. You will need about 15 minutes to watch and 10 minutes to carry out a simple activity. My name is Diva Baron Rothschild. I'm from London, but now live in South Africa. I've been developing people for 33 years, first as a therapist in the health service for about 16 years, and for the last 19 years as a coach supervisor and facilitator. A particular passion of mine is supporting people to optimize their energy and well-being so that they can remain resilient and resourceful at both work and within the rest of their lives. The world, unfortunately, has been in crisis now for the second year running, with multiple stresses such as work, family, financial and health stresses. Loss and threat of loss, as well as Zoom fatigue, has become a familiar context for most. Hence, it is vital to take care of ourselves during this time so that we remain resilient as well as continue to serve others. Yet some people say that self-care is selfish. How on earth can this be true? This really is just a myth. Conscious self-care is actually the antidote to the demands and stresses of life. It is about replenishing our resources and energy, which does not equate to ignoring others' needs or well-being, so it can't be selfish. This is especially important for women who work the double shift. According to research, women do at least 3 more hours of unpaid work a day. So that includes taking care of the family and the home, more than men do. Women are jumping over hurdles, while the men beside them are sprinting down a clear track. Thus, women have less time and energy for themselves than men. One of the most crucial resources for coping with all the demands that are on our plate is energy, which needs to be constantly renewed. Instead of worrying about having enough hours in the day or not having enough hours in the day to tick off all the items on our to-do list, it is more important to consider how much energy we have in our day, because this is what fluctuates during our day, not time. Time stays the same each day. We have 24 hours each and every day. There's nothing we can do about that, but we can manage our energy in an optimal way. So I'd like to share the top 5 principles of energy optimization for those of you who this concept is new to. So as mentioned, number 1, aim for energy management rather than time management. Number 2, our most fundamental needs as humans is to recover energy after expending it. And with all the demands that are on our plate, we are expending a lot of energy. So it's vital to recover the energy that we've used up. Number 3, to be fully energized, we must be physically energized, which is what a lot of people think around when they think of energy. They think of how they physically feel. But we also need to be emotionally connected. So connected to our own emotions, as well as others. But to start off, just by being aware of how we're feeling, because our feelings are often important data to let us know whether we've actually got enough capacity, enough emotional capacity to keep on going with whatever it is that we're doing, or whether we're starting to feel anxious or frustrated or just, any unpleasant emotion that depletes our energy levels. We need to be mentally focused on whatever it is that we're doing and spiritually aligned with a purpose beyond our immediate self-interest. So when we're on purpose, we're in flow, time flies. It's where our passions and our strengths overlap. And that's where we're most energized. So it's really important to be involved in doing meaningful work, purposeful work. That's where we really can fly. Number 4 is aiming for progress rather than perfection. A lot of people have a very kind of punitive inner critic in their head, which is pushing and pushing and pushing them to often be perfect, can't make mistakes. Now, it's great to have a motivating inner voice, but not one that is pushing so hard that wherever you're trying to work, you're trying to be perfect and make no mistakes. That's not human. We are human beings. We're not human doings. We're not superpowers. And we do need to give ourselves opportunities to make mistakes and learn and grow from them. That is part of life. And finally, number 5 is do less of what drains your energy whenever possible and do more of what boosts it. So that's pretty common sense for a lot of people, but often we're not aware of when we're feeling drained. And so I wanted to ask you to do an activity to really raise your awareness around what in your day drains you and what in your day energizes you. So speaking to that principle, I'm going to ask you now to look for a paper plate, if you can find one in your home or in your office environment. And if you can't find a paper plate, don't worry, just get a plain piece of paper and 2 different color pens. And when you're back, I'll give you the next instruction. So now, if you can put a heading on the front of your plate or paper that says work, and on the back side, write down personal. And now I'd like you to focus on all your work activities, everything that is currently on your plate, no matter how big or how small. Just list all the tasks that you're currently engaged in. And then when you finish that, I'd like you to turn the paper or the plate round and do the same thing for everything that is on your plate in terms of your personal life. From all the admin, chores, family activities, events that you've got to plan for, whatever it is that you're involved in, is please write them down. Once you've done that, then I'm going to ask you to take those 2 color pens and highlight or underline each of the tasks that energize you from both the front and the back in one color, and each of the tasks that deplete your energy in another color. If you find that there's certain activities that, certain parts of the activity energize you, but other aspects deplete your energy, then just either leave that one out or highlight with both colors. Once you've completed this activity, you can start to see if any patterns are emerging from the tasks that deplete or energize you. This is a pretty important activity to do because it will help you to plan your day. So firstly, have a think about when you have energy highs in your day, when you are full of energy and you can keep on going, and when in your day are your energy levels low. Once you know, on average, when you have a lot of energy and when you have a little energy, you can then start to plan your day around your energy levels. So if you can map out your day using these kind of energy principles, then you're going to get a lot more done, be a lot more productive. So consider for now the tasks on your plate that can be depleting because they're quite complex. Now, it's really good to put those complex tasks into the parts of your day where you have most energy, because then you'll be able to be mentally focused, creative, problem solve. And conversely, think about the activities on your list that are maybe simple or repetitive and don't require so much thought and mental energy. And those you can put into the parts of your day where you know that your energy is dipping. Now, another thing which is really important is checking emails. I mean, everybody gets so many emails in their day. And a lot of people, their notifications are popping in all the time and they're distracting themselves from the task in hand to check those emails. Once those emails have come in, it's very difficult to ignore them and go back to what you're doing because you're trying to respond to the emails. So it's really important to check emails at particular times of the day, maybe when your energy is lower, rather than as they arrive. Because as I say, each time the email comes in, your brain is distracted from what you're doing, and then you've got to use more energy up to refocus. So all in all, we're going to be depleting our mental energy by keep checking our emails back and forth. Another important strategy here is to maybe do this with your team members, because then you can find out what depletes them and what energizes them. Because what energizes them are the activities that they're good at and that they're passionate about. And there's always going to be activities and tasks that we're not passionate about, and maybe we're not that capable in, but we still got to do them. So it could be an amazing idea to have a discussion with your team members to find out what it is that they find depleting and maybe you find energizing, and vice versa, because those are the ones to delegate to others, because for them it's an enjoyable, energizing activity, and for you it's a depleting one, and vice versa. So you can even barter with your team members to say, okay, I don't mind doing that if you don't mind doing that. And so you start to spend more and more time in your day doing the activities that energize you. Another idea is, excuse me, is to consider choosing an activity that you know energizes you before you're going to do one that depletes you, so that your energy reserves are quite full before you do a task that could be quite depleting and complex. And then to timetable in an activity that energizes you for straight after the one that's depleted you. So you're really kind of trying to get an energy optimization, like a calibration going during your day. Another really important strategy for being able to maintain your energy through the day is, as soon as you notice your energy is dipping, is to just take a walk and do some stretches, maybe do some deep breathing, because that way you'll firstly calm yourself, but secondly, you'll rejuvenate your body and your brain, because you're moving around, you're reoxygenating your brain by sending the blood to the brain. So yeah, 10 to 15 minutes every so often, could be every 45 minutes, every 90 minutes, depends on when your energy starts to dip. Just walk around, do some stretching, and you'll find that when you come back to the task, you've got a little bit more energy and focus. And lastly, I just wanted to share a little analogy with you. If we imagine that we're like a car, now to get where we need to go as a car each day, we need to ensure that we have the resources that the car needs. We need to top up with fuel, we need to maintain our oil and our water, and of course, service our cars regularly. So like this car, we need to resource ourselves on a daily basis by refueling. And I'll share with you a few resources. I can't share all of them now because otherwise we'll be taking all day, because I do have like a whole buffet of resources. If you want to engage with me later on as a coach, I'm very happy to share as much as I've got. But for now, let's just go through all the different areas of our life. And the more we resource each of these different areas, the more well-being and energy that we have. So financial. Simply just know your income and your expenses and only spend what is in your means. This way, we won't be constantly worrying about whether we have enough money to pay our bills, which depletes our energy. Physically is hydrate with about 8 glasses of water a day and refuel with quality food and get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And that way we're more likely to be able to maintain our physical energy during the day. Social. Spend time with people who energize and care about you, and put boundaries in with those who are vampires of your energy. For example, if the phone goes and you see someone's name and you think, oh, they're likely to be a vampire, and just consider, do I need to speak to them now? And if not, can I send them a message and say I will call them later? Or when I pick up the phone, can I just let them know, just got a few minutes because I'm in the middle of something, happy to chat for a few minutes. if you know that that person often speaks, for half an hour on the phone and you get off and you're completely depleted. Okay, our career, as mentioned before, is try and spend as much time as you can in your peak performance zone, which is basically your sweet spot when you're in flow, when you're engaging in tasks that you are good at and that you're passionate about. Spiritual. Connect to your higher power if that's something that is important to you. And for people who are not believers, they don't have a faith, they often find that nature can really help them to kind of connect to something bigger, something quite awesome. And this is food for the soul. So spiritual energy practices are really important in allowing us to have that spiritual energy for our day. Mental well-being is try and reduce or abolish time spent on negative social media content. I mean, often we spend so much time on social media platforms, and there's a lot of pain and there's a lot of loss and there's a lot of challenging circumstances in the world. And yes, you may want to be informed. However, just know that the more we are reading and watching about things that are painful and negative and traumatic, the more we are depleting our levels of energy. Now, thinking about our space, which is especially important for those people who are still working at home, is try to make our environment one that is beautiful, is joyful, is creative, and obviously feels safe. And to create some kind of boundaries between our working space and our living space, because otherwise, wherever we are in our workspace, and it's quite difficult then to switch off. And finally, our emotional well-being. So our emotions, as I mentioned before, can have a big impact on our energy levels. So as soon as we have unpleasant emotions, they're going to start depleting our energy levels. So when you notice that you are feeling something which is not leaving you feeling at ease, something uncomfortable or unpleasant, is take 6 long, slow, conscious breaths. And allow yourself to feel those emotions rather than suppress them. If we suppress our emotions, they can get stored in our body. If you think about it, emotion, the word emotion, emotion, is energy in motion. Our emotions are energy. And if we store them in our bodies, often we're not even aware that we're doing this, it can create physical pain, or that emotion kind of builds up. And often at a later stage, we have a strong reaction to maybe somebody else that doesn't know what's going on. And we can be quite impulsive or reactive and then later regret it, because that emotion is still there and it's being triggered by something else that maybe somebody says or doesn't say, or a look that they give you. And all of a sudden we've created a conflict that didn't need to happen. So once you name your feelings, you are empowered to deal with them. Or you can stay with them in a more compassionate way and just keep breathing until they lose their intensity. Now, obviously, it's not always possible to deal with the emotions in the moment because we're in the middle of a meeting or we're in the middle of a project that's really needs our focus. But just try to take note of it and see whether when we do have some spare time just to reconnect and see whether those emotions need to be resolved. So I thought we could do this together. Some of you may have a breathing technique that you use or some kind of relaxation exercise, and others may not. So let's do that together now. And I'm just going to invite you to just close your eyes. And well, before you do that, it's just move your chair away from your desk and take anything off your lap, uncross your legs, uncross your arms, and let your arms gently settle on your lap. And then close your eyes. So on your next in-breath, I'd like you to, as you breathe in, is just to notice the cool air that's rushing in through your nostrils. And as you breathe in, you notice your chest rises and you draw that breath in deep into your lungs and your abdomen. And that breath warms up as you take it in. So just notice the difference in the temperature between the cool air coming in through your nostrils and it warming as you take it deep down into your abdomen. And another thing to notice is as you breathe in, you can imagine that your lungs are like two red balloons. And as you breathe in that air, so those red balloons inflate. And when you breathe out again, which is good to do through your mouth, as you breathe out, you can imagine those red balloons deflating. So it's cool air rushing in, red balloons filling up, and as you breathe out through your mouth, those red balloons deflate. And what I'm going to ask you to do now is to do 6 of those breaths, 6 conscious breaths, in through your nose and out through your mouth, in your own time. And when you've finished, we'll continue. I'm wondering how that breathing exercise went for you and how you feel now. Because mostly, after those 6 conscious breaths, we can shift from feeling under threat or feeling quite uncomfortable into a more peaceful and calm and relaxed space. And that's where our brain can do its best work, can be focused, can problem solve, can be creative, and can handle more complex tasks. So just remember that the 6 conscious breaths is a free mobile strategy that you can use anytime, any place, anywhere. Obviously, if you're driving, you're not going to close your eyes. And if you're in a meeting with some very challenging people, you may not want to close your eyes, but maybe just kind of lower your eyes and just do your 6 breaths until the intensity is past. So I'm just going to encourage you to remember to use your 6 conscious breaths whenever you need to recalibrate, to calm, and to refocus and to handle any challenging emotions. So I've mentioned quite a few resources that can help you to optimize your energy. I'm going to encourage you to choose one practice to create a new pattern of behavior until it's become a habit. Once you've been successful, you can choose another until you've transformed yourself into someone that has regular reserves of energy and has prioritized self-care habits as a new daily ritual. To make behavior changes is not always easy, but it is definitely possible. Because making or breaking a habit involves neuroplastic changes in our brain, which basically means we can change our behavior, even those hard to break habits, by building alternative pathways in our brains, because the brain does have that kind of plasticity where it can create new connections. When we first try to adopt a new behavior, we have to enlist what's called our prefrontal cortex, the thinking brain, and insert conscious effort and intention and thought into the process. And the aim of this is to create a new pathway. It's like going for a walk in a field, and instead of taking the well-trodden path, we try a new pathway, the one where the grass is still fresh and taller. When we've performed the new routine that we want to practice, enough times for connections to be made in the brain and strengthened in our brain, the behavior will require less effort as it becomes the new default pattern in the future. So this new path in the field becomes our new well-trodden one. So I hope you've got some value from this video and it's offered you some new insights and a new model of energy optimization rather than trying to manage time. Take care all. Be well. Bye for now.